Who is Kim Gatlin? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. And by the way, before we get into this, go to YouTube if you're going to watch this and go to wherever podcasts are downloaded and subscribe to and get it there so we can count the numbers. We're capitalists. We like to be able to tell our advertisers what we're doing. She is the author of the book that is sitting right here in between us. It is called Good Christian and I just love saying that phrase. Good Christian Party time, Mom. And by the way, that's a phrase we use around here because my mother always gives us a hard time. She says it always devolves into party time in Studio 22. So we just go ahead and get the party started earlier. So for those of you with delicate sensitivities, GCB right there. So tell me the inspiration, because this thing became the inspiration for a television show, but we'll get into all that and all of that stuff that happened there. But what was the inspiration for the book?
I was going through a divorce and I was trying to have as little damage as possible to our children.
Yeah.
And I was seeing a therapist and trying to maneuver it as best I could. And the women that I thought I'd get the most support from were the least supportive, and they happened to be like my Bible study girlfriends. Yeah. And so I was talking to another girlfriend of mine one day who wasn't really much of a believer, Yeah. And she said to me, I'm just really floored by the behavior of some of these good Christian women. And I go, you mean good Christian? And we both just died laughing. And I said, I swear to God, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to call it Good Christian. And then I felt like I had to, because I didn't want to be one of those people who said they were going to write a book and never did.
Yeah.
So.
But I know that folks, and you've probably caught grief. I know you have caught some grief over the title and the name, and how dare you say
in the same word.
But let's just get into the vein and the spirit of what you're trying to communicate. You're like me. You were just blunt about it and said, this is what I'm dealing with. And I've always said that the American church, and I've spent a lot of time in third world countries all around the world. I've seen the persecuted church. I've seen Christians that are really up against persecution and oppression and losing their lives for their faith and things like that. And so we kind of live in an age where if the air conditioning's not right and the Starbucks coffee's not in the lobby and the music is too loud, or you got to have the fountains and all these things.
Cushions are too thin.
Exactly. You got to have all these things for us to go to these Americanized massive churches that are out there. And for many of us, it's a feel-good social club. And I don't care who gets offended when I say that. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And they're more of go in there and expand your mind and feel positive about yourself rather than it
and see and be seen. It's like a Sunday. It's like their version of a country club almost.
Exactly. It is. And you want to play your part there and those kind of things. And so you just called it what it was. I mean, you just said, I'm coming at you.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, make no mistake, I had to examine my own heart and think how many times somebody looked at me and thought, gosh, if that's what Jesus looks like, I don't want anything to do with it,
Yeah.
But it was just really funny because the time that I really expected for it to be supported and embraced and encouraged, I was getting ripped to shreds,
Yeah.
And Rudy and I were both really careful. I didn't want people thinking poorly of my children's father. He didn't want people thinking poorly of their mother. So there was no blood on the sidewalk. There was nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
So they just made it up.
Yeah. And by the way, folks, you're not going in Barnes and Nobles and buying this in the devotional section.
Yeah, no.
That's not what this book is. Okay. Not what this book is. This is a story. I mean, you're
it's
telling
a novel.
Based on your life. And I understand exactly what you said. It's a fun book. It's obviously a great concept. And you have caught some flack all the way to even Newt Gingrich kind of saying, well, they would never say that about Muslims.
Can you tell? But they would. It could have been good Muslim, could have been good Hindu, good Jewish. I mean, just that part was interchangeable.